first of all, for anyone that doesn't know what Mummy is, I highly suggest that you check out the video that we just pinned to the top of the space. I think, in my opinion, and obviously we're going to dive a bit deeper now into the game and the team and everything. But I genuinely think this is probably one of the best looking MMORPGs right now in the space that are being built. I think the fact that you guys have decided to go with Unreal Engine 5 is also very, very ambitious. And obviously we're going to highlight kind of the challenges and, the perks of doing that. But without further ado, I want to just start by maybe letting you introduce yourself, Mara. So why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and about Mummy?
Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here, and I'm so happy that so many of you have joined. My name is Mara, and I'm the lead storyteller and writer of Mummy. So I basically create the lore and with everyone else and think of nice, exciting gameplay features that hopefully all of you will enjoy in the future. And yes, Mummy is an MMORPG. We are working on our demo right now. And we want to create these interconnected ancient lands. We started with ancient Egypt, and players can experience this world that is ruled over by chaos, and they can join either the forces of chaos or order and battle various monsters, team up with one another, and just see all the wonders that ancient Egypt has to offer.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think it's definitely really interesting to see the approach you went with ancient Egypt. Obviously, it means you have an abundance of lore. It means you could always just bring back some god from some kind of story and give it, a level. But before we dive into kind of the lore, I want to just ask, maybe in terms of why choose to even do this in Web3 instead of traditional Web2? Could you talk to us about, the blockchain side of things and what does Mummy look like in that kind of realm?
Yes, of course. Well, we believe strongly in the power of true ownership of in-game assets and in the play-to-earn paradigm. Mummy is very much a play-first game, so we want to create this very, very exciting experience for players, just like a traditional MMORPG that can be enjoyed by traditional players just as easily as by crypto enthusiasts. But at the same time, I think that owning your in-game assets, owning NFTs with various types of utilities, that's just so much added value to our community, and that opens up the gaming environment to so many new collaborations and to so many new opportunities, some of them even in real life for our players in the future. And just true ownership of in-game assets basically allows players to derive more value from the game, more than just the entertainment value, because at Mummy we're all gaming enthusiasts and we've spent countless hours in these virtual worlds playing, and at the end of the day, just to own your in-game assets, I think it's much more exciting because you know that you have something the digital art with utility that is yours and that can be proven on the blockchain. Yeah.
So when we talk about that, I guess, sense of ownership and the items and stuff, obviously MMORPGs are very hot for items in general. You think World of Warcraft, you think RuneScape, et cetera, et cetera. I think in terms of Mummy, so what does that look like? What do I own, for example? Do I own, I don't know, my character? Do I own my weapons? Could you talk to us a bit more about that?
You do not own your character. You may own skins for your character. Basically, we want the game to be free to play and to be available to all. And I think that if there was this barrier to entry of having to own a character in order to enjoy the game, that can become very exclusivistic and can keep a lot of people out. And we want the game to be free to play for everyone. And yeah, right now we have 3 player characters. We have a sorceress, a warrior, and a ranger. But we'll add more in the future. It's just that from a logistic point of view, because our game has plenty of focus on socialization, and we believe that this virtual world that we're creating has to be very friendly and has to be a very safe environment for making friends and for getting to know new people if players wish to do that. We have this feature that you have to team up with other players, with other who have different characters than yours, so that you can work in synergy to battle certain monsters. And and all of that, like there are added layers of complexity when we add another character to that, because they all have their own abilities, and they have to combine their abilities to tackle certain challenges in a way that increases in complexity depending on the task. So yeah, coming back to your NFT question, Omar. So players can own various items, like various weapons as NFTs. We will have an NFT collection coming out soon, this year or early next year, the Primordial NFT collection. That's going to have some very exciting utility. We will have a land sale at some point next year, and that will add another layer in which players can experience the game world of Mummy. Like if you own land, you can build various constructions that have different roles within the game. You can employ other players. There's very much the play to earn element at play here, no pun intended. And yeah, and land is will be rich in various types of resources. Landowners will have to trade these resources with one another in order to have the elements that are necessary to build the various types of constructions, like such as workshops or taverns or temples or shrines or like all sorts of things. Yeah, so NFTs will definitely play a role in the Mummy world, but even for people who aren't that much into crypto, because we know that traditional players aren't too keen on NFTs, and we want to make the gaming experience as friendly as possible for everyone, and to onboard as many traditional players as possible, because we believe that that's the key to mass adoption. So even if they've never heard of crypto before, they can enjoy the game without having a crypto wallet, and we keep their NFTs and earnings in an escrow, and then we will just give them notifications at various time intervals telling them that, hey, you've won this very cool item, or you won that amount of MMI, and if you want to like have those in your own wallet and take ownership of that, then it takes like 5 minutes to build your wallet and to transfer those assets. Yeah, I hope this answers your question.
It definitely does. I think you touched on a few really interesting points there. One for me, which is super crucial, is the ease of access, right? So you mentioned that it's going to be free to play essentially, but then obviously the added layer is the blockchain layer, where you will continue to accumulate items and NFTs, but only if you then choose to interact with the blockchain, that being A, you already know how to and you can go ahead, or B, you plan to learn and just set up, like you said, in a few seconds. I think that's super powerful. So, in terms of the approach, we're definitely fans of it. And we always kind of recommend the free to play approach, because, it's super almost audacious of games to, ask you to spend 1,000 plus USD just to try the game. I think the new kind of free to play model that we're seeing, not new in general, but new in the Web3 space, is probably going to be the way to go moving forward. So I want to ask you a bit in terms of kind of the way you foresee this playing out, right? So obviously there's tons of NFTs. You're going to do a land sale. Everyone's going to be grabbing, items and NFTs left and right. So what's kind of, in terms of like scaling, what's the end game for Mummy? Are you planning to then like continue to launch like new chapters? Is it going to be based on demos? Is it open world? Like, what's the approach for the game like? Because we've seen all sorts of MMORPGs with different approaches, whether it's dungeons or levels or just an open world. So could you walk us through kind of the game experience itself?
Yeah, so we have 3 chapters, like 3 different demos coming out this year, but then afterwards we will have a pre-alpha and then an alpha, beta, and so on. And yeah, the ultimate goal is to have this open world experience for people to enjoy, like 60 kilometers of open world with various quests, obviously like a narrative line that's like threading through all of it, so that there's some progression in the game. But we don't plan for the game to have an actual ending. Like we always want to have like a bigger and better boss like just around the corner. So there will be like there will be various chapters in the future in the actual game, and various like milestones that players have to encounter down the road. But we want the world to just keep expanding and to keep exploring. Like ancient Egypt, as well as you've mentioned earlier, has over 2,000 deities in the pantheon, so there's plenty of like battles and monsters and creatures to like talk about. Our game, like Mummy, takes place in an alternate Earth style of universe, so we also have our own original lore. Like we're not an Assassin's Creed kind of game. Like we don't aim to be historically accurate. We have a lot of fantasy elements for people to explore, so hopefully that will keep the excitement going. And all of the gods can give players various blessings, which also influence their battle strategy. So you have these additional abilities, and you can change factions based on the deity that you pledge allegiance to, because some of them are fighting for the Chaos faction, others for the Order faction. But also, like, the gods are very volatile and they have their own agenda as well, so they may change their allegiance too. Like, we want to have this very, very complex, interconnected world, that people can explore endlessly, basically. And in the future, we want to add additional ancient worlds and mythologies. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, that's an interesting point. I think it's a unique approach because, like you said, with Assassin's Creed, I think it was Origins at the time. It was trying to stay. I kind of beg to differ in terms of how accurate they were. Some parts of the story were a bit ridiculous, but it was trying to be as accurate as possible. So it's going to be really interesting to see you like changing allegiances between gods and like someone that was formerly for stability and peace now going for chaos and so forth. So that's a genuinely an interesting approach that we can't wait to see. So you talked a bit about the demo. You mentioned it a few times. So I want to ask you specifically about that because obviously a lot of people are now checking out the gameplay. They think it looks really nice, but the big question we always get, and the question I'm already seeing in our Discord is, when can we try this out? When game, essentially?
Yes. Well, as soon as possible, like within a month or so, hopefully. We're just debugging. We're trying to make it as exciting as possible, and there are some things that we have to like fixed, but like it's mostly done, the first chapter of the demo, so I can't wait for it to be out there and for us to get feedback from our community and to see what people enjoy, what they like perhaps to be done differently, because we have a very flexible approach to development and we really value our community and we want to like co-create this game to be the most awesome experience ever. In terms of lore and storylines as well, we want to co-create the narrative lines and everything. So as soon as we have some part of the story done, like we already have a couple of short stories on Medium for those of you who want to read that. And as soon as we have more of the story out there, we'll want to involve the community as much as possible in that respect as well, because I think it's just more exciting for everyone.
Mara, you're running around from me. When's the demo coming out? So when can we try the demo?
Well, definitely in September at some point.
Okay, cool. There you go. So we've got ourselves a date. No, I think it's a good approach to try to build with the community. I mean, I see a bunch of familiar faces in the crowd. I see Spike. I saw Travis earlier. Eric obviously as well. So I think it could be interesting to see what other content creators and other members of the community could also like add in terms of a narrative or value to the story. So I think it's definitely an interesting approach. But now that we're talking next steps and September and so on, we're seeing this a lot on your feed, and obviously we got asked about this a lot as well. So could you talk to us about this Stela NFT? How can we get one? Why should we get one? What's the point of owning one?
So a Stela NFT is a fragment of the Tiravaru. So the Tiravaru is this very ancient artifact that is a part our lore, and that's gonna come up one way or another in every chapter of the demo. We already have a story called the Tiravaru in which you can find out more about this. It was found by this chantress, this priestess called Neferure, and she used to like channel its power and have a lot of political and social influence over this ancient city in the mountains called Neferraket. And after the clash, which is the celestial war between the forces of order and chaos, that like afterwards the land turned from this lush ancient Egyptian landscape that where people lived in harmony. It basically saw the very accelerated effects of this conflict, and everything was turned to ash and ruin, and people suffered a lot. We meant this to be as a sort of metaphor for climate change, basically because ancient Egypt actually underwent a period of climate change like many thousands of years ago, and yeah, so they found this artifact called the Tiravaru, and then Set came and destroyed the city of Neferraket after the clash, and this tier was broken into 3 separate pieces, 3 stelas. And people can win each one of these pieces by playing each one of the 3 chapters of the demo, and for those who have collected all 3 of them, they will receive the actual Tiravaru itself, which is this very powerful artifact that will have in-game utility. I'm just teasing, I don't want to give any spoilers. And it's gonna be this very cool animated NFT with some soundtrack in the background. And right now people can enjoy this free airdrop of the Stela NFT for the chapter 1 of our demo by going to our website and connecting their wallets. So I invite you all to do this. Yes. This is pretty much it. And the first stela tells the story of the chapter 1 of the demo. It's basically inscribed on this broken piece of the artifact. Like our main boss is Ankahur, who is this general from across the Red Sea, and Happy, which is this bowl demon, and Neferure herself, who is very vile and cruel, are inscribed on the stela. Yeah.
Nice. I see a lot of different characters that we can't wait. I do think I have already seen one of them, the really mean-looking guy with the sword, and he was a pain to kill. But yeah, I can't wait to see all the other characters and what they have in store for us. I got a bunch of questions over the Discord, but let me run through the last couple of ones that we had, and then maybe I'll bring some of them up. And if we missed anything, maybe you can highlight it a bit more. And if we have any questions from the crowd, I think we could maybe potentially bring up some people. Does that sound good? I'll take that as a yes, Mara. Okay, cool. So my next question was...
Sorry.
yeah, no worries. My next question was, you mentioned land really briefly, and that's a hot topic in Web3 games, where a lot of people ask, why do you even need land? It's just like, is this, for you to just like get more revenue? Is there actual utility? What's the point of it? We've seen a lot of games launch land super early on. We've seen others launch after the game is launched. So could you tell us a bit more about like Mummy land, and what does that look like? Is it like, do I own a pyramid? Do I own a patch of sand? Like, what can I do with my land?
Yes, so our map is split into 4 different regions, and each one of them has its own like history, so to speak, and each chapter of the demo takes place in a different region. So we will basically land will happen, like we will parcel pieces of each one of these regions into land. So land will be scattered all over the map, at least in these like 4 separate regions. So what you get will depend on the particular environmental like landscape of each specific region. So not everyone will get a piece of sand. Perhaps some people's land will be in the desert, but perhaps for other people it will be in a more mountainous region, and so on and so forth. And also depending on the region where your land is located, it will be rich in various types of resources with various rarity levels. And you can build on your land various constructions, as I've said, like workshops, taverns, even pyramids or temples or like palaces. And you can do that according to some blueprints that we provide for you. And each construction demands specific resources. And if you don't have all of those resources on your land, you will have to basically trade with other people in order to gather all those resources, and then employ other like players and workers to like build this construction. And then you can also upgrade it and update it. And yeah, and each building has a specific role in game, so that it plays an integral part in the whole play to earn economy of the game. We also like we're aware that many people buy land speculatively and then do not use it. So in order to incentivize people to actually use their land, we will have basically a tax for people who choose not to do anything with their lands, just to motivate people to like build something on it, or like engage in trade, or like even if you don't want to build something on it, you can still mine your resources and sell them. And yeah, you can enjoy the land in various ways. We also hope that this land sale will open us to a lot of new partnerships and opportunities for our community. And we have this option that those who want a specific custom building on the land can actually liaise with various developers and creatives, and basically pay them in the MMI token to have these custom buildings on their land. Yeah. So we want to make the whole experience as creative as possible for people, but also for those who don't enjoy the whole land element, they don't necessarily have to get involved in that aspect of the game. For players who don't own land or don't necessarily want to visit those constructions, like it will very much be optional up to a certain point whether they want to engage in that aspect or not.
So can I build a pyramid on my land? Is the question I'm
yes.
going to bring back.
Yeah, short answer, yes. Depending, if you want a pink pyramid or something more exotic, then you have to liaise with a creative to custom build that for you. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
So if you want like a space pyramid, or I don't know, but if you want like a basic pyramid that you can upgrade, then yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. I had a bunch of questions from the Discord that were very kind of I guess MMORPG specific. So one is, can we trade items within the game? I'm assuming that's kind of a bit longer term. So obviously, I don't think you're going to start with that. We've seen it with games like Big Time, for example, where there is a marketplace essentially, but it's not really in game per se. So do you have plans to kind of allow people to trade the NFTs? And if yes, then when do you plan to kind of roll those out?
Yes, we will definitely have our own marketplace for people who want to like sell or purchase or trade NFTs. I like at some point next year it will probably be out. Yeah, obviously it depends on because we want to bring so much value into the world with this game, and we're so focused on crafting and creating it at the highest quality possible. We will release it when it's ready, basically.
Cool. I mean, let me touch on that because you mentioned it yourself. So you said quality. You guys are building on Unreal Engine 5, which not many games in the space right now are doing. So could you tell us a bit more about A, the reason you chose Unreal Engine 5, and B, the challenges that maybe have come with that decision?
The reason is just Unreal Engine 5 is incredibly stunning in terms of graphics quality. It adds a lot to the immersive qualities of the game. Like it feels as if you're there. It's like the lighting is amazing. The way that everything looks, the materials that you can build with, like it all looks so incredibly realistic and so incredibly well detailed. And I think that a lot of people appreciate that. Like it's definitely something that we as the Mummy team really enjoy in a game. just this aspect of immersion and to make it as realistic as possible, even if this may sound a bit silly because it's very much a fantasy world, so there's not much that's actually realistic in terms of the monsters that you encounter there, but yeah, like the way it looks, I think it's so much more amazing and so much more enjoyable for us than something that has lesser quality graphics or looks pixelated, or like, I think it's a matter of taste at the end of the day, because you can have games that are more like in the pixelated kind of style that are still very much enjoyable. So this was what fit the best the mommy world, what we wanted for this. Yeah.
Were there any challenges though? Because obviously you're using really high tech. It's the newest engine. Not many people are doing it, so I just want to kind of understand that as well.
Yeah, like obviously there are challenges. We work thankfully with some very, very talented developers, and we're constantly learning as well. We also use we customize the blueprints that are in Unreal Engine 5 just so that we can have more flexibility in terms of what's possible for us to build. So yeah, like finding talented people was definitely a challenge, but once we found them, it's much more smooth sailing
Yeah.
from then onwards. Yeah.
Maybe I'm a bit completely missed that question because obviously we've been talking for quite a very long time. But for everyone that's listening in that maybe is just hearing about you or from you for the first time, could you tell us a bit more about like the team background? Because you guys have some of the most impressive, I would say, gaming company logos in your portfolio, I would say, in terms of experience. So maybe walk us through a bit of that as well, just for everyone to kind of see who we're talking to when we say the Mummy team is going to deliver a high quality game.
Yeah, sure. Like our CEO Lee has like decades of experience working for Square Enix. We have people from Ubisoft and IBM, people who worked on Sea of Thieves. We have many very talented developers. Yeah, you can see the logos on our website. But yes, like we have people who have dedicated their life to building their skill sets in this very, very competitive environment that's game development, and who have the passion and the abilities to deliver on their promises. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing that. I just wanted everyone to also know who we're talking to behind the scenes. In terms of, I guess this is more of a pain point that comes with games that maybe are a bit too early or maybe are still not fully developed, but I want to see your take on it. So some MMORPGs can get a bit repetitive, right? Because you're grinding for levels, XP, items, etc. What's your take on this? And I guess what's kind of your replayability element or factor? How are you going to keep people hooked and not bored by doing the same thing? Or what's your take on that?
Yeah, like definitely grinding isn't that much fun. So we want to keep that to a minimum and actually keep clear of that as much as possible. Even for our demo, like our demo has great replayability value because so like let me tell you a bit about our demo so that you know what actually happens in it. So chapter 1 is called the one that's gonna be released in September. It's called Battle of Ankahur the Fallen, and basically you wake up as a warrior in this mountainous landscape, and you are followed around by this floating orb, which is Anubis, who's been trapped somewhere. More will be revealed soon about this. And he gives you advice. He teaches you how to like train to use your sword, and he mocks you and teases you and makes fun of you, but it's also useful at times. And you enter this series of labyrinthine caves inside a mountain, and there's like rivers of lava flowing around. There are a lot of traps. So these are basically the ruins of the city of Neferaket that Seth has destroyed, that I've been telling you about earlier. And you have to navigate the traps in this mountain, and then you, without giving too much away, you see Horus and Capri as statues, and you can choose to pledge allegiance to either one of them. And Horus gives you this very, very cool leap ability, while Capri gives you more of a defensive ability. So it all depends on your battle strategy and how you want to approach the game. And you also have you have these three main bosses, like Happy and Neferure, and then Angahur that you meet and that you have to like battle. You can explore a bit around these caves. There are a lot of cool features that I don't want to like. Lots of traps, like crumbling walls.
Don't give too much away. It's okay.
Yeah.
We don't
I
need
don't
the
want to give too
spoilers
much
yet.
away. I think there's a very fine balance. But yeah, basically you have a lot of replayability value because it depends on your battle strategy. So you can play using the blessings from Horus, and then you can come again and play using the blessings for Capri. And that's very much in play in our game at large, because you have all these gods that you can pledge allegiance to, and you can compound various blessings and the abilities that they give you, and then you can change those, and then like NFTs come into play as well, which can be a completely different way to experience the game. We hope to implement these soul NFTs in the future. Ancient Egyptians had this belief that the soul of a person was split into 9 different types of, let's call them aspects, and each type gave you various ways to experience the world. So you had, for example, Ba, which was this astral bird that could go and visit the heavens, and the fields of Aru being the ancient Egyptians' idea of heaven. And yeah, and you had like the shadow, and you had the also the physical body, and 9 different aspects. So we want players to like collect these, like those who choose to do this will be able to like collect all these different aspects of the soul in order to have a complete character, and then they'll have some very cool perks. And each one of these aspects, like some of them you can win for free in game, some of them will require that you already possess another one, and you can sort of, let's say, breed. And then some of them we hope to co-create in collaboration with some artists, and have drops at various time intervals. And yeah, and like each one of these souls will allow you to tackle quests in a different way based on which one you choose. So for example, like you can perhaps send your astral selves to like work on the pyramids of someone who owns land, and then you can earn some passive income that way. Or you can like for quests that require more stealth, you can use your shadow. Yeah.
That's really interesting. I like the soul approach. I think there's going to be tons of interesting things to explore, and obviously the lore itself is already rich enough that for a lot of people that maybe know some of the names you're mentioning, it's exciting. But for others that maybe are only familiar with like Ra and Anubis, I think they'll discover that there are many more gods in the ancient Egyptian mythology. I want to ask you one more kind of gameplay related question before I move on to talking a bit more about our partnership, I guess, because that's kind of the pinned tweet and kind of the sole reason behind us pushing for this as we progress. But my last, I guess, gameplay question for now comes from, again, Discord. In terms of the future of the game, is it going to be PvP? Can I play against or with my friends as we conquer, some of these adventures and meet new gods? Or is it meant to kind of only be played as a single player type game, such as God of War and so on?
Definitely more PvP. Like we want to emphasize this need for like community and socializing and making friends and having fun with your mates. So there's gonna be plenty of player versus player opportunities. Like you can battle against players from the opposing faction, and you can also like tackle various quests and challenges together with your friends. Like you can perhaps you play as a warrior, but you will need like a sorceress for a particular challenge. challenge, so you'll have to team up in order to tackle that. And for various dungeons as well, like we definitely want this feature. But there'll also be experiences that you can enjoy as a single player, definitely. So as a single player, I mean that if someone feels antisocial, they don't necessarily have to interact with other players in game. They can just explore the world and yeah. And we have these crafts and professions that that people can master as well, like alchemy, fishing, hunting, and all of that. Yeah.
Nice. So plenty for every type of player, I guess, is kind of the answer.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on your mood.
Yeah, fair enough. I think it depends. Also on kind of, because obviously you said you have different playable characters, and you've got an archer, you've got a warrior, you've got a mage. So I think it'll be really interesting to see the combinations and kind of people playing together and kind of using each other's skills to complement one another. But I want to talk maybe a bit more about our partnership, what that means, what that looks like for the future as well, and for everyone that's in the Polkastarter Gaming community, and vice versa, obviously, also for everyone in the Mummy community. So I'll let you do this one. Obviously, I'll add a bit towards the end, maybe, but I'll let you kind of lead the way.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, we're super excited to partner with you. Obviously, you're trailblazers and you're at the forefront of Web3 gaming, and we're super glad for this partnership and for your amazing advice. We're super glad to co-create the in-game economy together, and just to be a part of your amazing and very dedicated community of players as well.
Here's my favorite part, right? The oat NFT thingy that we dropped before. I think things like this could just be really interesting to explore as well, because obviously we just hinted at, it could give you some exclusive stuff, but because of the blockchain tech and the fact that you guys are building what you're building, I think it's really exciting to see that maybe potentially we could, for example, give early access to someone from our community that holds the NFT. We could do all sorts of fun stuff in terms of, obviously you've got customization options in terms of the in-game items and cosmetics and things like that. So I think as you obviously also look to expand and partner with more communities and more potentially guilds, more partners in the Web3 space, I think there's all sorts of fun to have when you're an MMORPG, because it's just really easy to kind of integrate different elements, whether it's, I don't know, some pyramid somewhere belongs to Polkastarter Gaming, while like that one sword belongs to a completely different community, while that, you know what I mean? So in terms of customization, I think that's one of the things we're excited about the most, and we're constantly continuing to explore.
Yes, exactly. And also I think that's so cool, as you said, that you can have a construction in game that's exclusive perhaps to people from the Polkastarter community who own a certain kind of NFT, and they can just socialize there and network and have access to some additional unique opportunities. And yeah, like I think that's super cool in the future, and we're very excited to explore various ways to bring our communities together.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite gameplay videos that we obviously couldn't share until the announcement, but I was dying to share, and I know a lot of people that saw it then reached out and kind of asked questions about the game, because it does look really good. I mean, a lot of people shill you games and say like, oh, this looks amazing, blah blah blah, but like once you actually watch the demo, if you're just listening to the recording, I highly suggest that you check out the profile. I'm talking to like people from the future, so you can ignore me, but yeah, I think it's definitely one of the best looking games in the space. I think in terms of the lore, it's already kind of almost laid out for you, because you've got ancient Egypt and you've got mythology, so there's tons of stuff to pull out from in terms of the storyline. And I think you guys have done a great job in terms of like choosing the factions and letting each god give you something in terms of blessings or whatever. So that's already really exciting. And then I think it's just going to boil down to the gameplay and the replayability, which everyone's going to get a taste of in September, hopefully, if all things go according to plan.
Yes. And also in terms of, as we've discussed earlier, in terms of replayability, like we have this very cool like the fighting, you can just master your skills and master your weapons, and it's super dynamic, it's super fast paced, and I'm sure that everyone will just love it. Like, I hope so, fingers crossed. I'm really, really enjoying it so far. And yeah, it's just the way that you enter a state of flow, just like battling all of the creatures, and it's incentivizes you to just master that particular skill set and your abilities. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I mean, from what I've seen, obviously, just full disclaimer, I have tried the game in like a very, very early alpha pre-demo phase. But I do think in terms of like visually, it does look really stunning. A lot of people ask like if your video was a cinematic trailer, which they were all surprised that it's actual gameplay footage. But yeah, I think it's definitely a lot of fun, and kind of like the different attacks that you can do, the combinations, the abilities, just with the swords. And I'm not even a swordsman, I'm more of like a sniper archer type of guy, so I'm excited for the next character as well. But I think it's definitely really exciting, and we're like fully unbiased. As a gamer, I tell you that I'm not a huge MMORPG gamer, but I am a huge fan of obviously ancient Egyptian mythology, and B, good games in general. And this, I think, experience of playing the early stage demo has been tons of fun, so I can't actually wait for the full demo to release. I want to just, before we maybe start wrapping things up, I want to do two things. So if you guys want to grab the mummy oath that we put up for everyone that's joining the space, just make sure that you join our Discord, discord.gg/PGG, and then just follow the steps that are in the announcement. Obviously, I also highly suggest that you guys follow Mummy on all their socials, and obviously join their Discord as well. I do know you guys are doing some giveaways in terms of the NFTs, in terms of obviously your tokens and things like that moving forward, so I highly suggest you interact with them. I do want to open up maybe the space for a few questions. I don't know how many we're going to get, but if anyone has any question, please feel free to request to speak. But in the meantime, I'll let you, Mara, kind of just walk us through a few final thoughts, things that maybe we didn't cover that you're excited about, or things you want us to look forward to.
Thank you so much, Omar. Thanks so much for your kind words, and I'm super happy that you enjoyed the gameplay, and I can't wait to send you the actual final version, and I can't wait for it to be out. Yeah, like, please join us on social media and join us on Discord. We're a very friendly bunch of people, so go say hi, and we can chat more about the lore and the gameplay and what we have in store for the future. Join our Telegram as well, and our Twitter profile. And thanks so much for listening, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Yeah,
I think we've got the guys from Arcade to Earn. I don't know if it's is it the man himself?
Which man itself? We're a lot of men. we're a lot of men on this team. It's Jorge. I had a question about.
It's Jorge, yeah, the man himself. There you go.
Hey, I had a question about the land. That's kind of what really interested me in more of Mummy.io. Can you talk a little bit further on what land's going to look like, and if it's going to generate if it's going to generate revenue? And I look at it as an investment standpoint, and something that we could offer to our community. And that's kind of what really kind of struck me.
Yes, we are still like working and refining our in-game economy with Polkastarter's help as well as with Machinations.io. So what I can tell you for now is that you can build various things on your land, and each one of them, like if you build a tavern, for example, you can sell at this tavern various healing potions, for example, and also some of the land parcels will be rich in various types of medicinal plants that then you can gather. You can hire someone to gather them for you, or do it yourself, and then you have to perhaps hire a sorceress to enchant them, and then you can sell those in your tavern. So there are definitely opportunities for passive income by building on the land and developing the land and integrating it within the wider gameplay world, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's awesome to hear, because I believe that the land is a great infrastructure to a lot of the games, and I think it makes sense. So you're in good hands with Machination and Polkastarter, of course. So thank you for that. Have a good day, and keep the best of luck.
Have a good day. Thanks so much for your question. You as well. Best of luck.
Thanks, Jorge. I have one more. Obviously, if anyone else has a question, please feel free to request. I got one more for you in the Discord as well. You mentioned a bit earlier about kind of wanting to explore different mythologies. So, are you going to make our, God of War Kratos dream come true and mix up some ancient Greek with some ancient Egyptian with some Norse mythology, or what's the plan, I guess, moving forward?
That would be our dream in the future, like some years from now. Like right now we want to like refine these ancient Egyptian lands, but in the future definitely some ancient Greek, some ancient Roman, like the Roman Empire, deities, perhaps like Assyrian, Mesopotamian. Like we haven't decided what's gonna come up next, but we definitely want to expand the world. Perhaps we will start with like other cultures around the Mediterranean, perhaps some like ancient cultures that were present here at the Black Sea. Yeah, like who knows? Like the world is our oyster, the virtual world as well. Like
the entire history of the universe basically is the oyster at this point. And I think, you're going down a good path, I guess, because if you see the trend with a lot of the games as well, like Assassin's Creed obviously is a perfect example, but even with God of War exploring different mythologies, even with I don't know what the name of the game is called, but there was one that kind of got a lot of hype on social media recently with kind of the ancient China type realm or whatever, and it looked like an Assassin's Creed game, but it wasn't. I think that side of history is really one that people are always looking to explore. So putting that in our hands and kind of almost like educating us why we play, because it's not just about the game, it's also about like who is Anubis and why did people believe that Anubis existed and what was he like and who was Ra and why was he the god of XYZ. Like these are the things that you'll kind of be exploring throughout the game. So I think it's definitely a breath of fresh air in the space, and one we definitely need.
Thank you. Exactly, like all these gods, like they are so human in their like appetites, and they have so much like greed and like violence and jealousy, and they have all these very, very human emotions, which I think ultimately makes them compelling to people and easy to relate to. And we very much want to explore all of these aspects and all of these motivations that they have. We want to explore those in the lore, and also to like have it reflected in the gameplay as well.
Yep, I think you're spot on there. So I don't think we have any more questions, so I won't keep you for much longer. But I just wanted to, before we wrap up, I wanted to say thank you so much for your time, Mara. It's been a pleasure. I think it's always fun getting on these calls with you, even behind the scenes when we do our calls. It's always just tons of fun talking about like the potential that the game has, because obviously, there's tons of potential to explore, whether it's from a lore side or a gameplay side. But again, I'll just remind everyone to make sure that you guys check out Mummy's socials, check out mummy.io, the website, join the community on Discord, keep up with everything that they're doing. And I think, you're definitely going to be hearing more from us as well, because the partnership has just been announced recently, and it's only going to, get better and better moving forward. So I can't wait to kind of show everyone else what we're planning. And yeah, I'll let you maybe do the wrap up for us. Maybe give us your outro, Mara. I'll let you wrap up the show.
Thanks so much, Jomar. It's definitely a lot of fun to have this kind of chats with you. And thank you so much, Polkastarter community and people from the Mummy community and from Twitter who have been listening. I really hope to meet you on our social channels, and please join our Discord and say hi, say that you've been listening here, and we can continue the conversation. And also, everyone, connect your wallets on the mummy.io website for this Stela NFT airdrop that will come up in the next month or so. And thanks so much for being here. And I really hope you enjoy the game and you give us feedback after you get to try out our demo, and keep your eye out because we have a lot of cool things in store for the months ahead.